Hi, I'm Ekaterini Branaina. A lot of people know me as Kat, though. Been with the SCA for probably 5 years or so, and so today I just wanted to try out the A&S competition. It's actually my first one, so a little nervous, but I did the best I could at the time. But what I did was something that I haven't even mastered yet myself, but I found it very interesting. I learned the process from start to finish. And it's about raw wool to hand spun yarn. Well, I think there's a better way for the yarn part, but I'll call it yarn. So that's kind of what I'm demonstrating today is taking raw wool, which is this guy right here. So taking the raw wool, I roll it into a roll egg, and then from the roll egg, take it to my drop spindle, and then just start spinning it. And then finally I get to this point where I have a finished product. So that's pretty much the gist of what I'm doing. Again, I'm not an expert at this, but I learned some new things about it, and I find that as interesting as can be. I learned that when I do chopsticks and roll eggs, what they used to do is a distaff, where I thought a niddy noddy is more modern. It actually was used in older times. And you could just tell it's just different orientation on the poles. The carders themselves kind of came around the 1800s. Before that, it was, they had different types of tools. It's kind of hard to pinpoint the years. I was seeing like 19th century, 18th century, 16th century. I couldn't really pinpoint the oldest date, let's just put it at that. But what you would see is kind of like a comb. It used to be like either wood nails or iron nails when they learned how to, make iron. So it does kind of go far back on the hand carders themselves. The spindle itself, I didn't get a chance to check on the actual accurate date of when it started, but so many cultures have a drop spindle. There's a Turkish spindle where it's a bowl and you spin it in the bowl, so that was kind of cool. There's some where instead of doing it like this, it goes like this. So there's just some differences on the drop spindle itself. I wouldn't say like this is super modern. There's different things that this one I crocheted it. I know that's modern. What they would do back then is null bind it. Knitting is actually very period. I didn't know that. I thought knitting was also kind of a modern thing. I don't have the date again for the knitting, but I found it interesting that like 2 sticks was like, yeah, that's actually predate. But what they would do in null binding, it was kind of like a bone or wood needle, and they typically do the same kind of stitches as in crochet. Crochet, again, it's a modern thing. It's a hook, has a little hook, and then you just hook in the yarn together. So that's what I did here. So my main goal was to just learn how to spin it, learn how to skein it, and then take it from there and actually start crocheting it. But I mean, it does start off like this. You got to clean it. You got to get it smooth. That's what this is going on right here. I'm trying to put the fibers in the same direction. Once I have it in the same direction, chopstick it. I'm gonna roll it in. That's why it's a roll egg. I pull it out. And then you got this guy. And then what you're really doing is you're drafting the fiber. See how like it starts to kind of get into that line? And that's without me like spinning it. So if I were to come in here and actually start spinning it, that's kind of that's the feel that you're getting for. And really important is you're keeping the spin out of here. Because if you let the spin come up here, you're starting to mess up. You want to like draft it out as it kind of goes out. So that's the function of what you're trying to do. And then with this guy, it's using gravity and some weight to just spin it and kind of get that, that pull. When you're starting out, you could just kind of, let me see. I was kind of playing with it. You could just kind of like you don't have to drop it. You could just slowly like mess with it in your hand, and then as you go, you can like start pulling, and then you keep pulling. So there's just different things, and then if you really wanted to, you can spin it, but you're letting that gravity and that spin kind of get you that thread. So that's kind of the gist. And then of course, as you keep going, you're just going to start wrapping it. And then again, the tricky part is you got to remember which way you're spinning. It doesn't matter. You could spin counterclockwise, clockwise, but it has to be the same spin as you add more fiber to the end. So I messed with the swatches. If you notice, this one's green and brown. That one's just green. So that was me just spinning green. And then I was like, what if I add some brown into it? And so I got a cool coloration that gave me like a fun pattern out of it without having to swap colors, if that makes sense. So kind of playing with it. The other thing that I learned about the skein, and this is when you nitty-knotty it. So when you start plying, because what you can do is take one strand and another strand and wrap it together to make a chunky kind of yarn. That's what this looks right here, a little chunkier. I like it because, again, I like to crochet, so I like chunky yarn. And then see, like, that's what it started out as. But if you look at this one, I didn't put two yarns together. This is a single ply. So what's really cool is this diagram here tells you where you should probably like keep working on, because you kind of are going for a balanced skein. But in this case, it says more ply, less single, which is correct. I didn't ply it with another string. I left it as a single. Does that kind of make sense? So that's why it came out as an S. It's turning in an S. Now, if it went the other way, which happened with this one, it says more single, less ply. So that means I plied it too much. I wrapped the two strands together too much. So it kind of came a Z. So if you have a perfect balance, you're just going to get a string, a loop, and that's it. So that was kind of cool. That kind of told me like, hey, maybe I need to work a little bit more on my single versus my ply. And really, you don't have to get two separate like strands to actually ply it. You could ply it in on itself. And what I mean with that is with this guy. So here's one end, right? And then the other end, where is it? There's the other end. So if I wanted to double ply it, I could just double ply it in on itself. And literally you would take your drop spindle and yet again, just like turn it in on itself. So you don't have to get two separate ones. You could do it on itself. And that's what I did here. So there's some cool stuff that I learned there. So there were some cool things I learned that I thought was only for modern, but it turned out it was, you know, it's actually been around a lot longer. So that's kind of the gist of what I'm doing here.